Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have the opportunity to work on a 13 fishing low profile bait caster reel, and this is going to be interesting. This has got the Concept TXZ is the name of the reel, and it's got the CZB technology. And well, from a little research, the CZB technology is a concept zero bearing. So what it does is it actually goes back to a bushing kind of a technology, using polymer as the resistance kind of thing, or the slip or the bearing kind of a surface. This one, well, this one's having problems, and it looks like it may have either been dumped in the sea or brought up from the bottom of the sea. There's all kind of dirt and debris in here, and it doesn't turn easily. It's got a skip to it, running really rough. So we're going to show you how the reel is made. This is not the handle that comes with the reel. This is a Gamexus handle. You'll see it there. And boy, is that quite a paddle handle for a low-profile baitcaster reel. But this one's got some troubles. We'll take it apart. We'll show you how to service this. Hopefully we'll make it spin a whole lot easier, and we'll learn a little bit about how the reel was made. Well, let's start by removing this side plate. There's a switch here that does that. If you pull it down, it will pop it up and over. And well, there's going to be two little screws we're going to have to take off there to hold this shield so that we can service the line pull. But we'll get to that in due time. I want to start by taking off the handle. And Gamexus uses a Torx inner screw here. And I did spend a moment just setting this up. So it's got a nut that screws onto the handle shaft, and well, it's got a big Torx opening to kind of keep it together there. When I take my pieces and parts off, I put them into a parts tray to keep track of them. I also take pictures, and I recommend you do the same. Now, my pictures are videos, but you don't need that. Just take pictures along the way as you come to the particular critical junction points, and well, you'll be able to see how the things come together, how they come apart, and where you may have been if you get stuck along the way. I don't know where this one got stuck, but it's having some issues. I'm noticing like salt buildup inside these handle grooves here. I'm just going to use a penetrating oil to loosen them up. While I do that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you do subscribe to the channel, please use that notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting videos. Those of you that watch my channel know we're an eclectic mix. We cover all kinds of reels and videos. And if you're interested in those, that notification button will help you to see what I'm posting, when I'm posting, and make a decision as to whether that's one you want to watch. All right, we have a star adjuster. There's a little spring here that's holding a little piece inside here, and just be careful not to lose that as you do this. Underneath that star adjuster, there's a big spring, and then we have a nut that acts as your pressure control, tamps down on your drags so that can come out. And while I have this open, I think it's easiest, if I can, to remove that spool. And that may be one of the issues here. There may just be something clogged up there. Well, we'll leave the spool in for now. Let's go back and take this side case off. There's one screw there, one here, one here. They're micro screws, so you're going to need a smaller screwdriver to get those out. And I think we're going to use a flat-bladed screw. The driver, it's not very effective with the Phillips head. I'm going to hit these with some penetrating oil. Not quite sure what's going on with this reel, but it's very tight, and it shouldn't be. Alright, we're working it now. So you're going to need a variety of tools on this. And you're going to need a lot of patience when you get a reel in like this that's kind of frozen or having its issues. I think once we loosen that up, we should be able to use the Phillips head screwdriver for that. And it's not the best. Let's go back to the flat driver. So 13 Fishing is part of the Rapala Corporation. Rapala was founded in the 1930s in Sweden, make lures. And a lot of the brands that Rapala has are lure or accessory type brands. They do Lure Jensen, for example. They do Storm. They do Suffix, which is a line company. They do Blue Fox, which is lures. I think it's Vox, which is also lures. And 13 Fishing is rods, reels, and lures. 13 Fishing in the U.S. is based in Florida. I think it's Clearwater. And I'm not sure if they're in a partnership with Rapala for worldwide distribution, or if the whole company is now owned by or a brand of Rapala. Take those screws off. Check to make sure they're all the same size, and that'll help you as you go to take the rest of the reel apart, but more importantly, it's going to help you when you go to reinstall. Well, that should release the side plate. I think there's only the 3 on there. Yeah, we can see, look at this mess inside here. So I don't know if this was dumped or if something else happened to it, but I don't see anything that's broken at the moment. That's always a good thing. And, well, we'll see how it goes. There's 2 tension washers that come out after the nut. This is that Concept Zero. It says Concept Zero bearing, and it's a polymer. So it's actually like a bushing stuck inside of a bearing. And I haven't seen anything that says lubricate that. So I don't know. We'll put a drop of oil in there. But I haven't seen anything on the treatment of that from a service perspective. This is a better example you can see here on this one. This one is almost a pure polymer bushing. There's no inner race, and of course that's not an inner race either. That's the sleeve for the anti-reverse. Let's see if we can get that out. On top of that sleeve, there's a small washer. I fell while I was pushing it. Okay, yeah, this is an anti-reverse bearing. We'll do our best to clean that up as well. So there's indications in here of rust. So this one has seen a lot of water, as we can see from the inner workings of the reel. Well, again, we'll try and do our best. I don't know exactly where this reel has been fished. But I guess if you're looking for a reel with water intrusion prevention, this is probably not your reel. Typically these reels are used in fresh water, although there's been a growing popularity to use the low-profile bait casters inshore ocean fishing, and that's basically been because of the advent of braid. And 13 Fishing came along right around 2010. So it's been in business about 15 years, and they've continued to build on their rod and reel expertise. We're going to remove the gear now. The gear looks like an aluminum gear, and we're going to see if we can't get the pinion gear out. This is your yoke, and right away, those of you that watch the channel know, get those springs into a safe place. And then we're going to just kind of clean all of this up. Well, while I'm cleaning, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, maybe you're working on one and you're stuck, maybe you want to know a little bit more about the history of the company, maybe you want to know a little bit more about how these types of reels are used, just leave those questions in the comment section. I do try to answer those types of questions in the morning and to try to help you. The idea behind Second Chance Tackle is to keep reels fishing and to teach you how to keep them serviced so that they can provide you the best form of enjoyment on the water and worry-free fishing. All right, we've cleaned up the yoke. And again, this is looking like salt. One of the things I like to do when I find these types of issues inside of a reel is spray it down with a penetrating oil and then use a hard brush to try and remove that debris. And I do it on a paper towel because I want to just get the dirt off of that part and onto some place where it's easily just picked up and tossed away. Once you clear those channels of the debris, just check them and make sure that they're all uniform and not damaged. Now, one of the things I haven't thought about here is if I find a damaged part, where do I get it? I'm not sure. I'll have to hope first that I don't find a damaged part, but then if I do find that damaged part, I'm going to have to do some more research. Let's see if we can't push this spool out now. Well, for whatever reason, this one's being a little particular. So I'm going to soak this here. It seems to be caught up on that little bushing there. Just let that go. Next up, I want to remove this so I can service the line guide mechanism. Again, they're small micro screws. So I need to switch over to a smaller Phillips head screwdriver. And this is just a screwdriver kit that comes, I think I got it at Harbor Freight. It's not an expensive thing, but you'll find as you're working on reels, every now and then, you just need these types of tools. And I don't tell anybody to go out and buy them just in anticipation that you'll need them at some point. But when the need arises, go get the tool. I just did a video on the tools on my table. And if you're wondering what the common tools are or which ones you need to do reel repair, hopefully that's a good reference or a resource for you. There's two on this side as well. I'm putting all of those into my parts tray in a particular corner. And hopefully I don't lose these little screws. They are very small screws. Okay. 4 screws are out. The shield should come off now. And now we can service that pawl. I suspect if this one went in the water, that we're going to see a lot of dirt in that pawl, and that's why you want to take the piece off and try to remove that pawl, clean it up, and get it back in. Most of the time you can just tap down and the pawl, the vibration will eventually knock the pawl out. You're seeing we're having a little bit of luck there, not a lot. There we go. Oops, just pushed it back in. Okay, so this is why you check pawls. You'll notice that there's all kinds of dirt and debris. You want to check the teeth first, and then you want to check the shoulders. And the shoulders on this one are just loaded with junk, right? That will slow the advance of that pawl in the tracks of the worm gear, and that will impair performance. So clean that up and out before you go to reinstall. Make sure that your points are the same on both sides. If one is short, it'll probably be stumbling. Check the gear itself. You can turn that. In this case, we'll just put some penetrating oil on there. I don't see any dirt in the tracks. If you did have dirt in the tracks, you could take that paper towel, press it down on that worm drive, turn it, and that will help to clear that up. All right, put the pawl back in. When you see it turning, you know it's properly set. Next up, they have these two little washers. Make sure they get seated in the cavity, just like that. We can take that cap and put the cap on. This is a plastic cap. Don't over tighten it. If you over tighten it, you'll be in the market for a new one. Just snug it up. And then we can put that cover back on. Now I have that pleasure of doing those small little screws. I'm going to take this glove off at this point because these are very hard to hold and handle and even find. It's kind of, you take a deep breath moment before you go to install. That's 1 out of 3. I guess we're starting a little bit better here. I brought the other 3 out. The thing you got to watch now is you don't hit that paper towel as you put the rest of it in. If you do, these things are going to go jumping like ants, and well, we may never find them. Fortunately, these are just about the same slot as the tip of the piece, so it's working. If it was a little loose and you're having trouble with it sticking onto the screwdriver, put a little dab of grease in there. That'll act kind of as a temporary glue. Now we got all of those in. Small miracles. Okay, this one's still not cooperating here. I'm kind of unsure why. Going to keep, oh, there's the movement. Oh, I got it. There we go. All right, so this is that Concept Zero thing I was talking about here. It's a polymer. There's no active pieces that I can see inside there. It seems to be just a polymer bushing, but they're calling it Concept Zero burring. I think the original real manufacturers had that concept down pretty good. They were using brass as bushings, not these, but you know what? It worked pretty well. All right, we have this whole piece apart now. I'm just going to use the penetrating oil as a cleaner on the inside of the case here. And then we'll go about trying to get this thing back together again and hopefully improving the performance. But I don't know what the cause of all the dirt is inside this other than a good dunking somewhere. Because everything is affected by this. There's also some kind of rot going on down here on the base of the case. So that could be salt water debris, not sure. Okay, no bearing, bushing. No instructions, we'll oil it. We can put this back in. Close this up. Lock it in place. Your switch to open up the case. All right, on this side, it seems like we've got a little bit more cleaning to do. Again, I don't go crazy with the penetrating oil, but I do want to use that as a degreaser. I do want to mop up any of the debris in here. It's not terrible here, but that main gear in that certainly shows a lot of that. Once you've mopped it up, make sure that you oil all of the moving parts on this side. There's no bearings, of course, it's Concept Zero, but use that oil, get it all going in the right direction. You can push down to make sure that the trip lever is working. Push it back up manually. You'll see how that fires. That's all working fine. A little bit of oil in that one little groove there. Okay, let's put some of this back together again. And we still got a lot of dirt on these pieces. I'm feeling sand or dirt. Again, I don't know if this was in a saltwater environment or not. You need to make sure that you have the points on this click ratchet the right way. So when we go this way with that piece, you can see how it's going to intersect here. That's how it's going to intersect, and then that's how it's going to trip when you turn it. So those are headed in the right direction. And we have a small fabric washer. This is an aluminum gear. Let's take all these pieces off here. I'm going to go put a glove back on. I think the glove I took off tore. But these have what's comparable to an HT100 drag washer. I'm going to make sure that they get greased. I want to make sure that this all gets cleaned out. So again, an aluminum gear, that's nice for nice lightweight, and it's not unusual. If you go all the way back to the Mitchell 300s, for example, there's a lot of aluminum in that reel. So it doesn't mean that it's necessarily weak or that it can't do what it's supposed to do. All right, those are there. One more piece with this. We're going to take that hard brush again. I'm going to pull through the channels. If there's salt or debris or the like, we're going to pull it all out. I'm going to use that penetrating oil again to get some liquid in there to help remove that. And I'm pulling that onto the paper towel so that I don't transfer that debris onto the next reel. Okay, that's in pretty good condition now. Before I go to reinstall that main gear, I want to put the pinion gear back in. To do that, we've already cleaned it. Find the side with the ramp, that's going to be facing inward. Find the side with the slot, that's going to be going that way as well. You put the two pieces together, then get a good amount of grease onto the teeth. This is where taking pictures would have helped if you didn't take pictures before. You want to know which way it goes in case you get lost. This one goes this way. And then turn it to make sure that you're flush against the back. Otherwise, you're going to have an issue later installing those springs. Here's that aluminum gear. It's a big main gear. I'm going to guess that the gear ratio on it's probably like 5.6 to 1. And this is a reel. If you get hung up, you don't want to muscle out of this thing by trying to gear because it is it is aluminum, not plastic. Let's bring that down, seat that. Now we have the three drag washers and three metals. Three metals have got a lot of grease on them, so clean those off. You're going to find two of the metal washers have a rectangular center. They're called keyed washers. You're going to find one of the metal washers has points on them and a circular center that goes in the middle of the stack, and that's called an eared washer. On the keyed washers, one of them is thicker than the other. That thick one belongs up top. It's the last one to go in. I'm going to use Cal's Universal Drag Grease for this. If you don't have this, don't run out and get it. Use regular fishing reel grease as an alternative. Light coating of grease, you need to see the cross hatching on that. Anything more than that, well, you'll be mopping it up. First washer goes in, followed by the first keyed washer. Then we repeat. We'll take another one of the drag washers. I dip it into the grease and then I use my gloved hand to roll it around. Seat that, and now the middle washer is the one with the 2 points. Find, this one actually has got 4 points. Find the 4 points, align them in the slots from the main gear. One more of these. Something, a piece of line, it seems like. It's kind of odd. All right, well, it's not there now. Then the big cap washer goes. And then we have our gear sleeve spacer. And that's also going to be the inner ride for the anti-reverse. All right, that looks right. Next up then is to put the 2 yoke springs in. And then we can put the cap on. Center everything up, bring it over. Bring it down. Make sure everything merges. And then get one of those screws. And bring that into the hole in the cover. This one we had a little bit of trouble with the Phillips head, so I'm going to use the flat-bladed screwdriver for this. One of the things with these fancy colored cases is it gets a lot of grease transferred to them, that's for sure. And hopefully taking all that dirt and debris and the like out of here and not noticing broken parts should be enough to say that this reel can go fishing again and not have to worry too much about anything that may have broken. I think I just lost that screw in there. It's in, there it is. There is a small plastic washer that acts as a water seal. Well, it didn't do that good a job as a water seal if everything got in there. Make sure you put that on. It's kind of similar to the ones that show up on the Penn spinning wheels. This one I think we can use the Phillips head on. One more, this one has the washers sitting on there already. But that one just doesn't want to let me put it in. Okay, there you go. So taking pictures along the way certainly is helpful. And I always recommend that. Let's clean a little bit of this off. I think I'm going to take my glove off now. We should be done with that. The dirt cleanup part of this. Okay, on this side then we have the small, almost like a bearing shield washer goes on top of that gear spacer. Then we have 2 tension washers. They're curved. I like to have the curve facing up on the one and down on the other. These control the amount of tension on that star adjuster. Next up then is that nut. You're going to notice that there's a ridge on that nut that faces up. That's going to be the base of the spring from that handle star adjuster piece. Snug it up. Bring that spring in. Get your handle. Push that in and then turn it until you lock in and you see it fall down because it's now got the nut positioned in the right place. There was a metal washer that went on next. You have to hold the tension on all of that. Next up then is the handle. There's that same metal washers inside that. So get that set up. And we have that cap nut. That's the last piece in my parts tray. That's the last piece to go on this reel. Now you need to make sure as you do this that it threads evenly. If it doesn't thread evenly, this is a plastic cap and it will fracture. Of course I should have done that before. Reverse the thread, tighten it in, and well, that's what we got here. All right, let's see how we did. Okay, well, let's do that final test then. We got the gloves off, we've got the table cleaned up, and we're ready to see how we did. Well, the first thing that I wanted to check on was the spool. We have a nice free-turning spool now, so let's put that into free spool and give it a spin. Well, we certainly have a whole lot easier free spool than we did before, and let's make sure it all bounces back. Let's talk a little bit about how we service the reel then. We started by taking this side plate off. After struggling for some time, we were able to remove the spool. We took off the front face guard and we serviced the pole. We saw there was all kinds of dirt there. The biggest surprises were yet to come when we found out that, boy, was there a lot of dirt and debris and corrosion and the like inside the reel. And, well, it looks like a lot of that happened on the outside too, because the paint is blistering here as well. We found a big main gear in there. It was aluminum. I'm looking at this piece here. It says gear ratio 7.3 to 1. Well, that would explain it based on the size of the gear we saw in the smaller pinion gear. Well, we cleaned it all up. We re-oiled, we re-greased, we reassembled. Well, final test. Well, we showed you already that the reel is free spooling, which is something it was kind of stuck up on. Well, you know what? It's turned free and easy. This reel's got a second chance. How do you like that? Okay, the 13 fishing reel, part of the Rapala group, at least on the international side. I think they're totally there now. They're out of Clearwater, Florida. The reel says made in Korea, and that's how you take it apart and service it. And if you really want to put a big paddle handle on there, then Gamexus has those handles available, and you can go order one of them, I guess, in color matching styles, it appears. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, please like it. And again, if you'd like to see more of these, please subscribe. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.